The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It seems to me that we have a profound question here of why. Why in an article that the very distinguished publication, Forbes, mentioned last year, it noted that the price of a 4-year college education has nearly doubled since the 1980s, they said, though the average annual growth rate in wages and salaries over that same period increased only 3%. This means that the cost of this 4-year college education has increased 8 times as rapidly as people working on their jobs earning wages and salaries. That to me is where we need to really pull the covers off and ask why. Why did this cost of a college education explode over this period at a rate 8 times greater? If we're going to really get to the answers of how we solve this. And further, as a matter of fact, excuse me, the cost of a 4-year college education in a more narrow window between 2003 and 2017, the cost of a 4-year college education rose nearly 50%, 48%. But between this same smaller window, 15-year period, wages and salaries rose only 6%. This means that the cost of a 4-year college education has increased 9 times as fast as salaries. So, ladies and gentlemen, why? What has caused this? I think if you all could tell us each quickly, if you could put your hand on one thing, so that we would know what to zero in. Because we can put legislation out forever. And no one handmade, let's give free education, because nothing is free. But the issue here is, what is causing this abnormal? Teacher salaries, professor salaries, what has happened? Can we go right quickly? And let's try to get on the record why, if you all could put your fingers on just one thing, maybe you can give us 5 things that we can address. Mr. Frotman.
So I think in many ways the answer is those 5 things, but there is one thing that this committee can do to tackle it, which is stop the predatory players that add zeros to individual borrowers' bills. In the lawsuits against a company, Navient, in courthouses coast to coast, they documented how this company's practices added $4 billion.
Okay, predatory lending. Great point. We can hit that. Now, Ms. Yu.
So I don't have the one answer, but for the borrowers that we work with, certainly the fact that the Pell Grant has not kept up has been hurting the borrowers that we see and has made it so that our borrowers have to take out loans in order to go to school, that it is not a choice for them to take out a loan. They are forced to take out the loans if they want an education, which they need, and which is why, again, we need these vital consumer protections.
Forced to take out the loan. All right, Ms. Harrington.
So I think overall, we need to reframe education as an investment in our future, and that looks like many things, all the things that my colleagues have said, but also accountability for-profit colleges, federal-state partnerships that really invest in equitable higher education, and an ability for students across backgrounds to really access higher education in an affordable way, and affordability at the front end and the back end.
All right, Ms. Yes.
Yes, one of the things we covered on the show is the fact that when a student borrower calls their loan servicer, say Navient, Navient will rush you off the phone, oftentimes in 7 minutes or less, and they will advise you to go into loan forbearance instead of an income-based repayment plan, which would probably be better for you. So that simple misinformation is a problem, and I think student borrowers need just basic Bill of Rights, like a protection to not let that perpetuate.
All right, thank you, Mr. Missy.
Yeah, I get the sense you would complain, though, if Navient kept them on the phone.
No, not, you wouldn't even tolerate that from United
and
Airlines.
read all of these terms to them to make sure they knew exactly what they were getting into. I guess people would be very upset about that, too.
But they want their best option, not a CVS receipt.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, very helpful. I think that's very informative. Thank you.
Gentleman from Florida,